Hey y'all, how you doing today? Ah, figured we put this on again in remembrance of a wonderful update. Good to see everybody. Frank, Turnley, Pretendo, Creso, Christopher, Veltan, Gigi Nor, Zerg, Haster, Adam. Good to see everybody today. Thank you for joining me. Love this song, by the way. Well, I mean, one of them is, or I guess both of them are kind of technically. If Lizzie is Ziggy Stardust, then David Bowie is Aladdin Sane. CDXXKLLRXIX. I'm not going to say that every time, but hello to you. King Eli, hello. Oh, probably ridiculous levels because we were trying in the member stream yesterday. We were in the deep depths, looking at all kinds of different things, and a lot of it was like completely darked out. So, Rays, wow, it just now it seems like it's so dark in here. That's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I like that one better or not. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, I'm best friends with all of them except the new ones, and I'm getting real close, especially with. I made some really good progress here with Flair and Lizzie. So that one's working well. I screwed up Minerva and Velamir because I was trying to explain to Velamir that while his comic thing it's like I get why he does it. Like I was trying to explain more as to why it might bother Minerva. Not to say that he has to even change, but just so he's aware of what's going on, what she's thinking, right? And he didn't like that, so he was gone. He was gone. But I did hear if you do it right, they get back together, which is what I hope. That's what I'm trying to get. So you did the snake game, and still nothing happens. You mean with Christopher? Are you talking about whenever you get your Dakota? Hmm. Well, Gigi Nora, I gotta tell you, I said this in last night's stream, and I do this all the time. I know, but I was watching a new video on Bloodborne, right? And a thing occurred to me that the narrator of the video said a thing that I think I never really thought about, but given the place that we're at in the story, it could be very relevant because I'm wondering if DE's even there right yet. But what they said was in regards to Bloodborne. Get to play in a little bit.
Myths about mortals getting
Um,
gods and monsters. Now I get to live out my
Actually,
very
you know what
own.
I'll try to do is just get another code. That's nice and easy, and we can keep going through that here. I do apologize. I was going to use my second character today, but unfortunately, it's actually my girl's character, and I couldn't get a hold of her quick enough to get the password because that Xbox just like decided to ask me for it again. So, um, can I get to the garage PC from here? I don't know.
I'm the biggest monster you ever took down.
So the concept was, especially in regards to the man in the wall, it may be folly for us as human beings to try to completely understand what the equivalent of a great one in Warframe would be. Now, again, if you don't play Bloodborne, you might not necessarily know what a great one is, but they are essentially like these Lovecraftian cosmic entities that, in the grand scheme of things, like as we walk around and look at ants and don't mind or care about the whereabouts or things that they do on the daily or what might happen to their civilizations or anything, the cosmic entities would think of humanity like we're nothing. But in that regard, we do also get kind of a very similar thing with the great ones in Bloodborne that I think we might even see in two different, what I would consider almost eldritch entities that exist in Warframe now, because I really do think that there's two of them, right? But getting back to the first thing, if you try to understand the complexities of what a god type figure such as that are attempting to do, that in itself might be a problem, because we are, and it might kind of formulate in the way of DE's not quite there in knowing the complete intentions of what the man on the wall will be, or like everything, everything that encapsulates what that character is going to be. But at the same time, I do think it's important to kind of consider that it's more than likely that
they're gone.
At least at this juncture, and I'm just going off of historical reference, essentially, based on the things that I read and the things that we see during the game, that whereas we are a tool for both Entrati and the Indifference, to believe that either of them are on our side, or perhaps more importantly, even would consider being on our side, being sympathetic to anything that we would say as a necessity, might be the folly, if you will, right? Let's see, Andreas. Last year of Steve's lore, storytelling, and ideas. I believe they're going to mess this up hard time. Well, I mean, I think they're doing good so far. I think with that in regard, you gotta give it up.
If you get close, it'll clock you and start a countdown. Bust into the cache before it's smoked. See?
So, my whole thing is, when you begin to add your desires onto a particular thing, let's say, right? In that either the man in the wall is good or the man in the wall is bad, that also at the same time leaves you up to your own kind of initial or not observation even, but more so, let's see, what do we got here?
Open that thing in the tech rock.
Loopy Echo. Yeah, let's try it. You can sometimes miss the forest through the trees, essentially, is just what I'm saying. Now, as far as where we're going next, I can't 100% know, but if anybody caught like what the thumbnail was for today's stream. Yoshi, hello. Okay, guess we'll try this again. I don't know why, but for some reason, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, you got to grab this thing here. And you're supposed to bring it up here like I did the last one. I don't know. I think that one worked. No. Arthur will come on and and give you like a kind of a notification saying that you got one.
We taste violence.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, I think that's a really good way to look at it. I just think that, and actually, you know what's funny? This is very interesting too. You can almost look at in many ways, right?
Cuz you missed it.
Intrati and Lawrence from that same game, Bloodborne, are very similar in the fact that only after they realized that they had they had unleashed something that they could never consider controlling, did they understand what had truly come to pass, if you will, like what they've really done. And then at that point, I think in the sense of Entrati, in a lot of ways, I think it's kind of too late. But he seems to have his own theories, so at least from what we've been shown. Now, the crazy thing is, okay, we're going to try this one more time. I've missed so many of them things anymore. I'm so tired of having to go through the whole thing and get the stupid supply cache. I feel like I've gotten enough for them already. They're fine. Am I out of ciphers? Or? That's weird. Well, yeah, I mean, Will, I should say, Willem definitely understood the dangers. Yep. And that's exactly what it is. It's like, it's funny, it's not just these two games, but rarely when human beings mess with eldritch power does it ever turn out good. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It almost always benefits the eldritch being, or if nothing else, the eldritch being is in such control of the power that the original intentions of the person who had originally either communed to figure it out, or figured out some ritual or whatever it was, it never works out in the intentions that they believe it will, even if it's for the best intentions, you know? Ooh, okay, I gotta get my rhythm. And that's what it is. Like, when you sacrifice humanity to save humanity, you have to at least ask the question, at what level is too much? Does that make sense? There's got to be a cost that you won't pay, even if it means saving whatever you believe is the thing that needs to be saved. Because at the end of the day, if you destroy everything in the process, then what did you really do? And that's another thing. We don't even know if the Man on the Wall is the strongest thing out there. We just know that's the only eldritch being that we've had any, real engagement with. And yes, we're going to try this one more time. I'm going to actually try to do the mini game this time and see if it helps. Yeah, it's like I said, it just never really works out well for anybody that does it, because quite frankly, we're not meant to have that. Okay, that one didn't even let me do anything on that one. That was weird. So yeah, then The Unum, the Unum very much reminds me of, and I think Titania, or I mean, the Silver Grove is a very similar situation. It's entities that, you know, gained a higher plane of of consciousness, if you will. But the sacrifice was that they had to sacrifice their humanity for it. And I think in a lot of ways, that's a theme in Warframe, like very consistently sacrifice, right? Well, I guess we're gonna find out about the old Indifference. I mean, I wouldn't, I would not in any way, shape, or form underestimate a being of such, you know, incredible power. Because as I'd postulated in another stream or video or something, I can't remember anymore. I mean, it clearly doesn't want me to have this. All right, we're gonna try this one more time and see what happens. I don't think it's necessarily out of the question. See, again, I didn't even get a chance to do anything with that one. That was weird. Like, I just let me put it in, and that was it. I don't know. We'll just get another one the next time. Or we can even do something else. If anybody is interested in actually getting involved in something they're looking to accomplish, achieve with a group that they typically, you know, can't do, I have to apologize a little bit. I had originally planned on doing my second character, for those who didn't hear earlier, but had a little bit of a problem accessing the character because my girl isn't here at the moment, and I couldn't get a hold of her in time to get her credentials. So we're going to pivot. Well, that's true. I mean, we really don't know what is out there. We don't know what's been found. We do know little things. Like there's, aside from, you know, the concept of potentially seeing certain tidbits, very small things. I'm not even going to pick that up because what's the point? Within a couple of the little trailers. Now, again, I don't think that that's like 100% that those things were Tau, but like there's the possibility that we could have seen it a little bit, but also within Duviri, we could probably try to find that tablet.
You sent the tech rock back to the Stone Age. Now bring it home, fam.
They talk about emissaries or some kind of group that are actively still working on the solar rails to get a pathway to Tau available. So I don't know necessarily where that's at in the process. So I mean, we could go there. It is a shame, Mr. Newt, that we are leaving 1999 so soon. I too am a little bit upset at it because I really think this was one of the most engaging and fun things that Warframe's had in a long time. Faust, that's possible. But bear in mind that just because just because the man in the wall is understanding doesn't necessarily mean that or quantify that it will take our side or even care in the grand scheme of things. Should some kind of existential barrier exist there that it won't pass. Yeah, well, it's funny because it doesn't seem like we know where the exact finger is. That being said, during the Whispers in the Walls, you know, that's something we could do is replay the Whispers in the Walls. because there's a couple things in there that I think are very important. Let me just see if this character, with all the things that I do with these quests and whatnot, sometimes I'll start a quest and I can't finish it, or let's see where we at. Yeah, see, I hate that you can't just restart it. Sometimes I go through a quest and I get what I need, and then I'm in a hurry. I have to go to do something else. So that's a shame. I wish we could replay this one, Angels of the Zariman. Oh, you know what we can replay though? The Duviri Paradox. Hey, Royal Boyle. Hello. I think I think I'd be interested in replaying this. I haven't yet done this. Because in reality, even though Tau is probably the most likely, there's nothing saying that we won't end up in Duviri. And the only reason why I say that is because all of the proto frames seem to have a very, very, we're replaying this, yeah. They all have a dread fascination with Duviri. Like specifically, it doesn't seem like many of the proto frames even care about the origin system much. They just want to see Duviri. They're always asking about it. Parental. Hold on a second. That one there, I can't exactly remember. Oh. That's okay. Now I remember who he was. Okay, so Parental was the one that Ballas has his little confrontation with about creating the sentience in the Samaris, uh, whatever that thing is, a little lore thing. I mean, I would assume that Parental most likely, because he was an Archimedean, not necessarily a executor, right? Much like all the other Archimedeans, he probably passed in the collapse. Yeah, Krisa, you got to watch with Eleanor though. She's the one that I'm actually just keeping an eye on her, because given what we know about Flair and Lizzie, the tech rot, when you're dating Eleanor, you've come to find out that like it's constantly asking her to come get back together, if you will. Hey, Sebastian, good to see you. So let's do it. Let's go to Duviri. Yeah, I mean, I haven't replayed this in a while, so this is actually going to be kind of fun.
Begin again.
Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, an entertainment. How many times will one dissenter die before accepting their fate?
This has a lot of additional context now, because you realize now that it's not the Drifter did this to himself, really.
I ask you once more, how many times will one fool die?
I don't know if Hawks is here yet or not.
How much will one proud human soul suffer? Before bending a knee to the greatness of their eternal king.
Well, so hybrid, I think the idea of the book is based off of it's a story that Entrati used to tell Illyria as a like a bedtime tale, and she took the tale, just these people and whatnot, and these characters, and transformed it into stories that essentially would allow younger people within the Oregon Empire, especially whenever confronted with the void. Because remember, now that the heart existed within the origin system, it was constantly pumping void everywhere. So the idea of people starting to, let's say, have interactions with it, maybe even on a smaller scale, isn't necessarily out of the question. Well, that's a good point, and it's kind of puts this whole thing into an odd perspective. In that, Duviri itself, again, I could go over this a hundred times, and I've done it already 100 times. Where I still want to know how Entrati got here.
Spinning inside your little wheel. Only to find you're right back where you started. And so it goes. Day by day, year by year, until you're dead inside.
Raze, I think that's
Nothing.
a lot of what it is. But it's his childlike other
Trapped in the spiral of someone else's dream.
that is doing it to him.
Begin again.
Haster, we think it was just for a moment.
Furious. And not just him. Me! We've both had enough of you. By order of His Majesty Dominus Thrax, death by
Impalement.
You will look at me when I...
But you can't send it back to hell.
Aha! Even better! Death by...
That's a really good question, Ian.
Meteor!
I mean, we have our rail jacks. We could probably do it. Watch the hand. This is so creepy.
What the fuck?
That is so weird. It feels like they actually removed or changed the animation just a little bit to not show that, like, that his hand literally peels back. Yeah, give me that thing.
Why not? Now what?
What? Oh. Sorry, we're still on rails. That was awesome. I loved when it peeled back. I thought that was so cool. Is it like not possible to hurt these dudes or what? Holy shit. Feels like day one Shiraka, you know what I'm saying? Woo! Oh, he got me.
What's gotten into you, Drifter? You seem a little emotional.
I don't know, man. I don't know about this because I've had my own theory about it for so long that of who exactly the oh, what did I do? Oh, I gotta kill this guy first. Oh, that guy can't be killed. Nice. I mean, you kind of have to let yourself get killed this first time, or else you're missing a huge part of the story. Like, if you don't get killed there, right? That's actually kind of a problem.
What's gotten into you? Where's that apathy I've come to love?
Mm-hmm. This is some good storytelling here. Yeah. That's exactly what I think, Andreas. In fact, do you know that scene? Do you know that scene where... Can I pause this? Yeah. Just real quick. Do you know that scene in the Hex Quest where Entradi says to the Drifter specifically, right? Are you no more a child than your other? I have such a problem with that because the child version of the operator, if you think about it, is the same exact age as the Drifter. They've been through all the same stuff. In fact, I would argue that the operator is actually way more battle tested, has been through way more stuff. But if he's referring to this child, who's very childlike and actually shown in the quest itself to be like a child, very fearful. I don't know. That's kind of what I thought. Yeah. Sorry about that. I've got a little bit of what do you call it? Some, let's say, allergies kicking up here pretty hard today. So, where's my horse again? It's been so long since I've done this quest. I'm trying to summon it. I'm like, why don't you just come out, Keith? What's your problem?
Let's go.
Yeah, now we're cooking with gas. That's what that's what I think. I because the other thing is, bear in mind that everybody in the entire, all the people here, we're gonna do it. They all think that they all call us him. Come on, man. Every once in a while, like it won't. It just wanted me to double jump. Here, I thought it again.
There goes our honored king.
Where? He gave me no eyes to see him.
There! I think it's him! Sir, will the dragon devour us today? I live to serve, even as food!
What? There's a dragon too?
Huh, didn't you hear it?
Again, if I mean, real quick, do we look anything alike? It is like so hard to play this quest when you already know what you're doing, because they're very adamant about making you learn again. And I just wanted to get on my cave and fly away, but it wanted me to find the cave and then jump.
Yeah.
Well, and think of this too. Here's something else. Bear in mind that he's yet again, if okay, let's put it this way. If he is the another, like, quote unquote other, right? He's yet another person, void touched person, that is missing an arm or a hand. This is what happens whenever you're trying to talk about lore and do a quest at the same time. I'm also not used to having to follow this stupid thing too, you know? Like when you do the regular Duviri things, it just kind of come across it. I don't know. Like I said, it's then you have the whole time travel thing that comes into play.
I am the Bombastine of the courtly stage, until that witch Lucinia took it from me.
I mean, it could be, but to me,
Fancy new hand, sire.
it's just crazy that Thrax has
I don't belong here.
godlike power in this place,
I don't even know why I'm
just
talking
like
to
us.
you. You're just some Thrax plaything, right?
Too true. Not like you. No matter how much work I put in.
I'm just looking for a way out of here.
A way out when all of us are obliged to stay?
Where?
Yonder.
D29-4B, I think
Don't get in my way.
they could do it at any time.
Ah, the audience loves you. Of course they would.
Come on now.
I don't know. I don't understand why it would be his sibling. That's the thing. Unless he conjured the sibling. Because nowhere in the scene that you see, you know, the situation where, like, he made this, if you will, you don't ever see like somebody else coming into the world with him. So I mean, unless he conjured it as like a version of his sibling or something like that, and I could see that. I mean, that in its own right is pretty concerning. Oh, that's the doll. I mean, the purple light you would assume is in some way related to the lotus, right? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I've said this to a bunch of people so far, like that. I have this like really sinking feeling that the the operator is going to get sacrificed.
For the person who has everything, a little something extra. Be on your way. That oreworm is hunting, and it has your scent. Though you could buy some time if you fed it with cinnamon.
We're gonna look. We're gonna see this end right now. Well, not right now, but soon. Wait a second. Real quick. This is the same food that we ate during the. Is this the same, like, even layout of the food that was in the New War? I wonder. Because this place is largely built on memory, you know?
Let's go.
Which is why you see all the pieces of the Zeraman everywhere.
You're as hollow as the rest. Dead inside, with the out soon to follow.
That's how Rizalka was described, as hollowed out. I missed the guidance. Oh, that's what you want, huh? No, I'll wait. It's cool. Then there's this thing. That has a direct tie to 1999. With the names that you give it. Oh, Andreas, that's a really good thought. I did not okay. Yeah. Maybe? Huh. I think Tao's going to be a kind of like 1999, I'll bet.
Some fevered dream.
But I could see it being more open to Arcwing and Railjack exploration. Like doing whatever you wanted. Maybe even having little islands that you could go from thing to thing. Like here's an island full of stuff here, and then you could fly over to this thing and there'll be more stuff there, and maybe like a hub world stuff like thing. You never know. I'm ready, Jay Perfect. And then you have to ask, how long's he been here now?
I'm wondering why the hell this
Sending.
all
Hey,
feels so
good to see you.
damn familiar.
Emotions, they guide where others fail. The king's spiral takes away time, experience.
You don't seem like the others.
I am Teshin. Oh, yes, and this is, well, it was you that named her, remember?
So, the idea, as I got it, was essentially that Teshin somehow got wrapped up through the same thing that, like that whole void portal, but at the same time, it's weird that if what they're trying to insinuate is this, which again, there's a couple little stretches you got to think about too here, but it's weird that just the Lotus's hand and Teshin would have went to Duviri. Right? And then the operator got kind of trapped in their own thing. But one of the interesting thing to remember is at the end of the New War, if you look, or not at the end, but when the Lotus and the operator are sucked up through, if you look on the ground, like air is still there. You can't, I think you might even be able to see the drifter. I'll have to look through that. Or I mean, not the drifter, the Teshin on the ground still. So we'll have to check that out. Was Teshin on the Zerman? I don't believe so. But as I was saying before, Sol and Lua are heavily insinuated in 1999 as the two like aspects of their religion, if you will. With Terra obviously being, on the ground there.
Terra. I remember her oceans crashing wild under churning skies. This place is a nightmare facade of that world.
Hey, Nancy, how are you? Good to see you.
You must escape.
Just so tired.
The figurine you pulled from the paradox, the lost toy of a
What do you mean by that, Yoshi?
You need only to find the rest of its pieces.
You can't be serious. You can keep the doll. I've got to get as far away from this as I can.
You know you cannot run from here with Thrax on the throne, but by all means, try again. I'll even give you my blades.
I feel like Vor is a part of the Void now, as him being kind of almost like a priest of the Void.
Until the next spiral, then.
Well, I mean, again, it's they never really came out and said that Teshin was quote unquote dead, but even if, when you're talking about nonlinear time and altered planes of existence, it opens the door to a lot of different other things. Let's put it that way, right? Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're going to see Vor yet. He might make a little cameo, maybe, if we go to Duviri, that is. Yeah. Again, just used to how it normally works with the.
Did someone make a new friend? Trying to make me jealous, are you? I'll find him soon enough.
What? There we go.
Time to end this.
I mean, this isn't ever how I actually fight. Like, I just rush up and kick the crap out of them usually.
I have your measure.
Now I see why they didn't put me in LS together. I was gonna say, are you gonna let me just kill them, or like, what's going on here? I just want to play now. Okay, cool. It's time. Oh yeah, that part where we thought it was Entrati, like we always do.
The oral worm Loden.
I mean, it's an idea to consider.
Must find a way to the mainland.
Wait, that's how you do it? I always jumped twice and it just kind of held on. Interesting. Yeah, that was the only time that we've actually seen the Indifference give like an idea of what it was trying to do too.
Impressive. If you are done gallivanting across the skies, might I suggest finding shelter on the mainland before Loden's wrath is turned upon you?
Yes, sir, Chief. Oh, I had to land like right in that spot. I get you.
You're thinking, is this real?
I mean, Rel could actually absolutely have some kind of aspect to him that's tied to the Indifference.
I'll try it.
After all, that there was a copy there of him too.
Now, we can begin. Warframes. Brought here by the paradox. In the world beyond the wall, they were the weapons of a warrior caste called the Tenno. I suspect your hand may offer a way to control them as they did. Choose.
It's like when he says "I suspect," it's like that means that he knows. I mean, you never know. Remember that it's largely insinuated that an aspect of Rel was also kind of lost in Duviri.
Relax.
Garmy.
Let your mind adjust to the dissociation.
Oh yeah, yeah. Kaya, I feel bad for Kaya. I really do, especially as her story's kind of fleshed out. I wish that, and I mean, I'm sure that this is a common type of thing. Let's see, what did we get here? I don't know if I no. Oh man, thanks. Old Tor Tigress.
All right. I think I'm ready.
Then go.
I wonder why his voice changed like that so much.
The King's Reach is
Yeah, there could absolutely be an aspect of the Indifference that has a portion of Rel in it, much like
would be a liability.
Entradi.
His every worm, but here you can roam free and revel in its power.
So, what am I doing here, Teshin? A joyride?
You are seeking a paradox. You'll need more than her hand and my blades to survive above. Here they come.
Perhaps, maybe the better way to think about it is this. The Indifference most likely, like a human being, over interactions with other human beings, right? The Indifference probably has aspects of every single thing that it's encountered. And it's very possible that it's the negative parts of that. So imagine like the insecurities of Yonta, like the like kind of abandonment and understanding issues of Rel. Then you have Entradi's completely messed up humanity.
What the hell?
They haven't really like come out and said much about like what the operators like quote unquote problems are. But they clearly had some kind of aspect with their parents that was an issue. So what if the Indifference isn't just Entradi's, but Entradi was like the framework to begin, and then from there it's been accumulating other intelligences that it's been coming into contact with. Yeah, Amir's headpiece his earpiece just likes to stay all the way up there in the air. Batman, hello. Yeah, Shadow Self, mixed with, like, yeah, essentially all of the negative things that have, kind of come about based upon experiences that you've had.
Powers of void that make the walls of our prison. I
But-
suspect the paradox is their attempt to
But
help us.
manifested into an elder void god.
There's something else down here.
Yeah, Lucas. Oh, okay, you're coming right back? Cool.
You must find it.
Oh, okay. Mm. So we're not just running through everything, although I'm gonna take a little bit of this root mirror real quick. So like this would most likely be not just a room on the Zeraman, right? But probably a room that meant something to the Drifter. And it's very possible even that this, like, I mean, obviously the book means something, but the whole scene, like the whole scenario, may have
The Tales of Duviri.
like an aspect to it as to why it was created here. Like anti-Wally, like another, like an aspect of Wally that is the opposite? Possible. I mean, we haven't really seen evidence of it yet, but I have also, I will say that it does seem like positive eldritch beings. If you, I mean, and again, I don't even know how, if that's a quantification or qualification you can give them, but I guess ones that aren't malicious also rarely seem to show up in media. Like, you don't see the perfect example is like in the Stephen King series. Like, you don't see the turtle very frequently. It's only like referenced in Christian stuff. Like, rarely do you see God depicted. They're usually in the background, more influencing, whereas the evil entities seem to actually make their presence known more. Well, I mean, that's the real question: is why does the Indifference have an interest in us specifically? Gemma, thank you. Thank you for the membership. And Gemma, if you needed to get that thing done today on your account after this quest is over, I'd be happy to help. What we were talking about yesterday.
I told you already. No. I didn't know all that yet, did I? We believed as the Oregon had us do.
Anti-hero. That is an oddly specific dream right there. Oh, okay. You're at work. Okay. I was good searching around here, right? Ah, yeah. Look, it was. When I played this quest originally, and it sucks because like you play these quests one time, you never get up until now. You haven't been able to get the opportunity to play them again, right? So I didn't really get a chance to search around. Players toying with a video game and murdering hordes of nameless creatures is an eldritch horror in itself. This is true, Floppy. Yeah, you have to. I think it. I believe that he's speaking to the. Is it a bunny or they look a lot like Letitia's rats too at the same time. Then there's this. Now I thought for in the beginning that this indicated that we didn't have a sibling because there's only one child here, but it just all it means is we just might have had a younger sibling. That's all. But the other thing that I noticed, and this is important, especially for my character, when my character was bald, and I am myself am bald in real life. Now I know where I got it from. See, my dad was bald here, so it was meant to be. I never had a chance. Here's some cubes. I wonder how old these are. Do they stay forever? Oh, they added a new sound effect. We'll get there in a second. Hold on, we just want to. Oh, Floppy. Anybody that played the ARG right before the Hex Quest knows that the Indifference is aware of us, the players. In fact, it used us to get what it wanted during the ARG. So, yeah, it knows exactly who we are. All right, that's the extent of what you can do. Antihero, you know what? You may have been visited. That's not sounding like a dream anymore. That's sounding like a thing that happened. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, you can't even change your gear. Akathis is not there yet. Okay.
It was war, after all. It defined us. We were made to hate without reflection.
He's talking about the Orokin.
No vacations. I suppose Saturn, maybe. I've always wanted to see things up close.
That's quite a few hours. A heartbeat with a tune. All right, I'll check that out.
Oh, feeling better? That Warframe took a greater toll on you than I expected.
Who are you talking to?
If you are recovered, we must begin at once to seek the other pieces of Thrax's figurine. I expect they will manifest the same as paradoxes on the
Oh, no, it's
surface.
possible, especially with the last thing with Flair and Lizzie.
Look around and tell me when you are ready.
Raphael, so in the lead up to the Hex Quest, real life players were engaged in an ARG, and this isn't the first time Warframe's done something like that. They always do it a little bit, and they're always really good. But this one in particular was kind of different because the beginning of it kind of set. Trying to think what the Kessler. The beginning of it set you out in a situation where and if you're looking for my color scheme, and I can give you the face if you want. So it sets you out into this situation where it seemed like Albrecht and Trotty was contacting us for the purposes of trying to essentially get the appropriate genetic sequences from the proto-frames that it needed for something. I mean, I would assume the ARG's canon. There's tons of stuff that are in both of them, including the Hex, the Great Despair was originally released through the ARG, and the Web Hex comic was originally seen through the ARG. So I would assume 100%, but as we are sitting there attempting to get these codes, there's all these different little clues going on and whatnot. But we always see the eye logo that you see both in the Sanctum as well as all over the place in Halvania. And that was largely just assumed to be essentially, I mean, as I understood it, like, just, kind of Entrati. But as the story goes deeper, you come to realize that the person that was posing as Entrati the entire time, that was sending us messages and asking for the genetic codes, actually was the Indifference. So it can at least be largely assumed at now that when you see the I logo, be it in Halvania or even when you come back to the back rooms and it like shows the date, that's the Indifference keeping a tab on you. Yeah, remember? Yeah. And now we know that Rusalka, whereas we originally thought that we wondered like, oh, why is Rusalka, the Skuldra member, involved in this? Well, now we know because Rusalka was the Indifference. And she was, that image was it looking at us. But we didn't realize at the time that Rusalka was the Indifference. Yeah, then you have the lidless eye that Palladino knows about. That's kind of my whole thing is that, we were talking about just a second ago what the Indifference is. Think about the number of beings that it most likely had some association with. Now we definitely have Entrati. We definitely have the Drifter. We definitely have the Lotus. We definitely have Barokatir. We definitely have Archimedean Yonta. And then there's the ones that we can almost assume had to have some contact in some nature, such as Parvos Granum, who knows Void Tongue, the only person that I understand in the entire Origin system, including Entrati, that supposedly knows Void Tongue. All the Holdfasts. Well, Floppy, I think what was meant, it was supposed to be Rusalka watching us, looking at us. Because remember, that was the thing where it says it's not safe to turn off your computer.
Thrax will reset the spiral the moment he senses a Warframe on the surface. We will save that for the Undercroft. This should at least give you a fighting chance.
There could definitely be something to it. Wait, what's that? Wait. The anti-hero. Helen, one time in my room in the game this time, that the Indifference held my right shoulder when I came back with my frost. I wonder if that was the one. Was it on the what do you call it? The desk?
All his horses, all his men. The sooner you find the pieces, the sooner you get out of this place.
So, during the which one was it with the Lavirian and Drusus that what was that update called, Chad? I can't remember. But during that one, you learned about the Lavirian and the fact that Drusus he sold it unceremoniously to Parvos because he was kind of running out of cash to keep it going, and then he regretted it. So, in order to get it back, because he was under the impression that Parvos was going to try to kind of like use it for nefarious purposes. What those are exactly, there could be a couple different things, but in the end, in order to pay back the debt, they ask us to go into the sanctum to get treasures of Entrades as kind of a payment, right? Well, as the thing goes, you go back to the Lavirian, and there's the Prex card of Dante. When you pick up the Prex card, you get some additional story that tells you about Dante's like confrontation with the Indifference, and it's assumed that Dante at that point was the actual frame Dante, like the first, and that it still had some level of its own sentience. In fact, like Lloyd tries to say a couple times that he feels at least that Dante was like more of an intelligent being, even though he couldn't speak. Like the way that he was just on another plane as far as being an intellectual Warframe. But with that in mind, he goes and essentially kind of relays a story back to Drusus and explains what's happening to him at the time machine, or not the time machine. Sorry, I was reading a thing here, but he essentially he explains to Drusus what's occurring in the moment, right? Which I don't know if it's like through a transference bolt or something like that. I can't remember exactly how they specify it, but he starts talking about Dante is having an experience with the Warframe, or with the Indifference, and the words that he's hearing there through Dante after the fact, after Dante ends up essentially losing the battle, if you will. The last words that Drusus says is, "I could have told Dante those words sounded familiar. I know what they were. I had heard them once. They were void tongue, and they were originally spoken. The time that I heard them, they were spoken by none other than Parvis Granum, meaning that Parvos knows void tongue. It's not like he knows a couple words. He actually apparently understands the language." Here's the new war, the new war tie-in.
Through the eye of a storm. I'm not sure if I was dead or alive at the time.
Remember, that was on Teshin's face.
It's been too long for me. Maybe I was on that ship, or maybe the same way you did.
He's in a
Raise, that is correct. Yeah, Dante Unbound. Thank you, Evan. Yeah. You never know. We don't really know where Dante's original bodice is. Andreas, this door that you're referring to, can I get to it right now, or is it in a different part of the quest? See, this is like molten void. No, I can't do that. Actually, Haster, now remember what was going on there. That's not actually what was. That was what the veil was telling the Teshin what was happening. The Tenno didn't actually do that to him. The Dormazone. Okay. Well, you'll hear laughing of children all the time, which you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it from either being the Zerman children or the Hollow children.
You have anger, Thrax. And because he is a creature of emotion, his world follows. From the Duviri tales, the Prince of Fire. Be wary. In the story, the king's men had blades of molten steel.
Yeah, but I own this place. If I'm gonna be here, I might as well grab a couple resources.
The imp thinks he can send his clanking cretins to haul me away.
As if I were nothing but a filthy tam snaffler. Rip the
City girl, how are you?
legs off. Oh, there.
Ah, stupid. Dumb Duviri ground getting in the way all the time. Well, do you get the new ones now? No.
The most
We'll take
petty
it.
and trivial things could spark Loden's anger, but the flames quickly rose.
Yeah, Royal Boyo. There's definitely that's another thing. That's the other thing that could be happening. Are we gonna get back involved with Parvus? So that's another aspect of the quest that like we've kind of like moved, or I guess from the overall narrative that we've moved away from, because we actually have a couple things going on. We have the sisters, we have Parvus Granum, but we also have the concept of, oh man, that's really messed up looking. The Sirius or Osiris. Never get enough of these. Whee!
That's him. Frax's enforcer. My replacement.
Yeah?
For 2 pins, I'd come down there and smash his face in myself.
Ooh.
But I can't. So you have to. Help yourself to his chest!
The depowered version of the Sirocco is not the greatest, you know? But we deal with it. It all depends on what Wally wants, really.
Now, anger is a powerful weapon, be sure of that. But it burns friend and foe alike.
Okay. Well, okay, see, this is why we're doing this right now. I don't think I don't think we're going to get into Thrax. I think the Thrax aspect of Duviri is over. We figured out what's going on. We got that. But there are so many other aspects of Duviri that we don't got. Like all the islands that disappeared and the fact that Entradi somehow was able to get here. Like, I don't get that part. And is he the only other person who's been here, or are there other people? Like, it seems like Garmi, who was Mathilla's ex-husband, or, I guess, dead husband? It seems as though that person has some kind of significant tie to Rel, if not being Rel exactly. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff within this world that they've just only spoke about. There's a whole island of indifferent children that just disappeared. Don't you think that's something that we might want to try to, figure out what's going on there? Well, that's my whole point. Is that's right, and then Teshin's got there. So how are people getting here? And I guess the difference between Teshin and Intrati, in my opinion, is Intrati apparently wanted to get here. Teshin just kind of found himself here. And I mean, that's exactly what could happen. We could just get, our next thing could be back in Duviri, and like we could figure out what's going on with some of the islands. So I mean, there's all kinds of different, like there's so many threads that exist within the game's story that we've kind of resolved to a very, very minimal degree, just enough to kind of, you know, say that we did it, but that we could easily go back to.
The battle is won, the paradox tamed.
Arch Plumbus, hey, good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Email? Well, it seems like it's hurting me a whole bunch.
But the boy was chosen. Why is this always happening to me? What is wrong with me? Am I not good enough for all of you?
Now I got enough that I can just sit there and...
Nearby, the paradox you seek.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like my whole thing is, Haster, is that those ones that just drifted off into the void, are we supposed to believe that they just are gone? And especially the one with the Hollow Children, because remember that one, Thrax was supposedly, remember this now because it's important, going to destroy, right? But before Thrax had the ability to do it, it just disappeared on its own. Now, the question you have to ask is, how did the inhabitants of the island know what was going to happen? Was it just luck? Were they tipped off?
For this shall you lament and repent.
That even has some man in the wall aspect to it. Action. It's not him. I'm just saying the voice layering that they do is very similar on that. I'm just saying that it's very possible that we could find ourselves back in Duviri, maybe not even for this update, for a future one, and uncover all kinds of things. Like how exactly everything was created, like specifically how it was done. Like more of the specifics. We could get into the tablets and who exactly put them there. We could dive more into Kalervo. Oh, I think that's a place where there's one of the tablets from.
Good. Return to me when you are ready.
Well, I mean, my whole thing with, I believe, and I mean, I could be wrong on it, but I think in ways, Rel's autism was the thing that shielded him. That's why he was like able to essentially resist, at least in the web comic, the way that that's supposed to be, you know, shown.
I guess we're born with anger. An instinct like any other. Like squinting at the sun or flinching from a burn. But some of us
See, I think this scene
learn it.
is that right there is when the indifference came to him at first. Especially with the how it turned red there. Yeah, Arch Plumbus. Like I said, it's so possible. And then now, bear in mind, we just saw that part right with the screen go red, very much like Chains of Harrow in the beginning, right? Yeah, that is the operator's room, but in my opinion, that is essentially when Rel cracked, or not Rel. Sorry, not Rel. That is when the Drifter cracked. I think what that scene is meant to depict is that he was thinking about his family who was no longer around anymore, and he was playing with the toy that essentially, that represented like his kind of family unit and whatnot. And that is essentially the emotional outburst that caused Duviri to come into play. Now, what else happened there? I'm not sure, but it's very interesting that we see that part with the split, right? With the split into like the red thing and whatnot. And then we come right to this scene, which is very important, especially if you believe what I was saying before about the this person, the I should say Thrax being his other.
You said the Tenno were trying to help me. This paradox stuff. Now you're saying Thrax is one of them? He doesn't seem too helpful.
The history I know. That Zeramin ship returned from the void, bringing with it the extraordinary power the Tenno command. But here is a different path, I suppose. A difference in parallel. A paradox in itself.
You're going to love this part.
The world above changes every day following what Thrax feels. Ready yourself for the next day and consider what you have learned.
Bear in mind, we have to remember what's going to happen with this person.
Well, it seems that Thrax woke on the right side of his crib today.
You'll see what I'm getting into more in the end, but to me, Teshin seems a bit odd too.
Sickening.
Remember, the joy he feels is not lacking in danger. Find the fable hidden and play it out. That way, you may discover the next paradox, the next piece we need.
C and B, there it is right there. And Eleanor makes specific... She brings up that concept in 1999. Which I love that they incorporated that actually in the game.
Oh, and just a little pinch of perspective.
All right, I saw it a second ago. Where'd it go? Oh, that was this thing. The Kovnik. I wouldn't be so sure, hey. Does seem to me like people who have touched the void rarely ever stay dead for too long. But we'll find out.
Like a child hiding its face in play, Mathila hid from the truth. Nothing but joy mattered.
Well, Floppy, that's kind of, if you read, especially, which one is it? Which one has the tale of Garmy from Mathila and the Reign of Chains is in that one. That story from Duviri. Well, that's the other thing too. Oh, that's another. Yeah, we hear Rel's rap tap tap. Well, again, that I don't know if that's Rel. That actually is probably more the Indifference. To go in line with the eyes that are everywhere too. Bear in mind.
Not everyone is strong enough to confront the darkness within. Are you going to keep putting it off? Or are you going to take action?
Guess I'll just go purge the darkness within, huh? Seems like an easy answer in the end. Isn't that what everybody does in this situation? Well, I think we're getting really close to a time when I really do need to kind of put this. I'll give you. I've already told the people in the member stream here. This we've kind of talked about this already, but for those that haven't heard this part, this is just a theory, but I think there is enough information to postulate the idea that when you are encountered by the man in the wall, a copy is automatically made. And I think you could even make the argument that based upon that idea, we haven't yet seen or met the true Albrecht and Trotty yet. Now, when we're just talking about just Albrecht and Trotty, they're within multiple scenarios. And Trotty asks the question over and over again. Was it I that got out of the wall, or was it the other? And with this newest update where Eleanor starts to bring in the idea of when these void clones are made, is it possible that the clone actually thinks that it's the real person? Right? And so I got to thinking that would explain the operator drifter. The operator essentially believed that it was the drifter. A void clone in its own right. A child forever. and would allow for the switch because they're essentially one and the same. So if you take that concept and extrapolate it out, especially with Entradi, one of the things that is never explained is why Entradi looks so different in 1999 and even in Whispers in the Walls than he does in every other depiction that we've seen. In other depictions, he's an old man. Like, he's not ugly or fat, but he's got older features, a little bit thicker face, like more rounded, if you will, kind of like my face in a lot of ways. Because when you get older, it's just that's kind of how it happens. His body proportions are a little bit more rounded, if you will, thicker. And yet the Entradi that we see in Whispers in the Walls is very svelte, muscular, young looking. Obviously still has the gray hair, but the face is a lot more thin. And it makes me wonder if it's possible that... I don't know that he was full-on blue Orkin. It looks more like he was just like the white, not necessarily blue. I don't know if that's one and the same. If you consider that, then yes, he was full-on blue Orkin. But regardless, that would make sense in that regard too, because it would be a younger depiction of Entradi that he would have essentially seen. And if you then extrapolate that out further, especially when we talk about what Eleanor says in her talks with the Drifter, she talks about seeing a younger version of herself that was a nun that made her happy. And I wonder if... Well, Hester, that doesn't necessarily mean that it would make him look younger. It just means that when I heal from stuff, I don't revert back to looking like a younger version of myself. So just because he healed his wounds doesn't mean that. Now, if it was a different thing altogether, but again, went through the void, was sliced up in the same way because it went through the same thing, and it wouldn't know that was the problem. It would have... Like I was saying, it wouldn't have any idea that it wasn't Albert Entradi. Again, that's just a theory.
Not simply be as happy as Mathilda.
But I'm working on it.
Why do they have to be so difficult?
I actually like this one a lot. Well, okay, so I personally believe that Albrecht didn't perform continuity. And I go back to this all the time, that I think the fact that he has normal arm proportions, whereas all the other Orkin who were... Not to mention the other thing, too, is to consider that the executors were the ones that would be in charge of the continuity process, not him. Again, that's just speculation, because I know he says now or ever again, and everybody associates, oh, well, then he had to have taken it. I don't necessarily believe it that way. I think could also be insinuated that he's saying it very definitively, I will never take the Kuva.
The Undercroft is a source of unbridled negativity. We are about joy, and nothing but joy. So your path is clear, isn't it?
So again, that's just another idea of what if, when the void encounters us, right? What if, especially say if we don't make a deal with it, Because that would really do it. Think about it. Because Entradi didn't make a deal, and the Drifter supposedly didn't make a deal. Well, I don't know. But the clone did. That's possible, though. We're going to have to look into this further. There's definitely something to it. But I have to find more what I would consider to be more consistent and maybe some additional instances to make this theory something that I actually want to put out on the channel. Right now, it's just me thinking. Well, I mean, I certainly don't think that Entradi should be thought of as some great man. Like, let's put it this way: if you think Ballas is a piece of garbage, you should pretty much think the same way about. I mean, because they're equally as terrible. And dare I say that, like, if there is any legs to this theory, right? It's actually more likely that the clone Entradi was the one that actually had some type of feelings for Lloyd, not the real one. And would explain why, like, Entradi seems a little bit different. Because it's not the same person. Like I said, just too many times Entradi has shown that he will sacrifice literally anything for whatever he thinks is the best method in order to make whatever he wants to occur. He'll sacrifice anything. Raynuva, hello. Good to see you. Nobody, good to see you. I don't remember Albert kidnapping my mom. Well, I mean, again, it's maybe there's not a personal stake in it, but I'll bet you every single time that you go to the Sanctum and you have to speak to Tagfer, you can feel the pain of him losing his significant other, you know, the idea that on top of losing his significant other, it's not like there's anybody else out there for him now. Like, imagine that. Imagine being the only human left. The only person left. Whereas it's maybe not as personal, I would say it's every bit as, if not worse, than taking our mother away. And bear in mind, technically it wasn't Ballas that killed Margalus. It was the Orokin that forced it. Had Ballas not killed, had Ballas not killed Margalus, the Orokin would have killed him for the insubordination against their world, and then the Tenno would never have come about. The Orokin would be still in possession of rule of everything. So I don't know that Min's ever going to come back. Well, I mean, again, you got to look at it from. All right, and I mean, I am not for a second condoning the actions of Ballas here, but I think some perspective is very, very necessary. One, you have to look at who Ballas is. Ballas is an extremely intelligent calculated individual who does give a shit about himself. Okay? So you are right to say, why didn't Ballas do anything about it? Well, had Ballas, as I mentioned, had Ballas stood up against the Orc, had he done that, he would have been killed just like her. It's almost certain, because in other writings where where Ballas is engaged with the Orcan, we can see instances where he is not entirely liked by the other executors. They make fun of him. So, in Ballas's mind,
I tried.
he didn't.
So help me, I tried. I have
Instead of Ballas just
joy in my soul, and
speaking out against the
tried
Orcan
to share it.
and then
Nobody
dying
wants to know.
for it, instead,
Try ignoring me now.
he preserved some aspect of Margalus's consciousness. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a part of it within the Lotus. That's just how it is. How he did that. Now, again, remember, he's one of the people who understands continuity and being able to take one's consciousness and move it from one vessel to another. Bear that in mind. But he did that, and it was him that was responsible for the destruction of the Orcan. So, again, I am not for a second trying to say that Ballas is some great individual, wonderful person, but through his actions, he brought the Orcan down. He ended the war with the sentients. And he preserved some aspect of Margalus. He tried to put that into the Lotus as a way to keep her around. Now, I don't know if he believed that, that part of her consciousness would live on and that she would live on in kind of the same way that somebody with continuity would do. Or perhaps that he was just trying to make someone kind of in the same way that Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Inception created a version of his wife within the dream, but it wasn't anywhere close. And he actually says all this stuff throughout the New War, and especially towards the end when he's speaking to the Lotus specifically. Well, I mean, yeah, it was Ballas. Ballas was the one who created it, or who allowed for the sentience to even be brought about, because, again, it was his knowledge of their disgust of him that allowed them to pass through Orcan law to make the sentience even possible in the first place. Because according to Orcan law, the sentience should not be allowed to be made. But because Ballas endorsed it, or endorsed the idea of making sure that Orcan law was upheld at all costs, that swayed the rest of the Orcan executors to let this one sway, let this one slide, okay? Now, in my opinion, that's very interesting, because just before that, the Orcan, right, had just forced Ballas to do the thing that he did to Margalus and essentially make sure that Orcan law was upheld at all costs. Like there was no leniency there. But when it came to something that wasn't against Ballas, well, now we can look at the greater good of the of the empire. Well, that'd be interesting. Archon Lotus. Wonder what that means in the grand scheme, though. This thing.
You found it. Good.
Yeah, Adam, that's
So
exactly
tell
what happened.
me, did Mathilla's joy wear off on you?
Raynuva, that absolutely. And
You
here's
think I'm not paying attention? You think I don't know what you're up to? My Dax are searching. We will find your nasty little den soon enough.
it doesn't seem weird to anybody else that Thrax has like this amazing power here. That happened after the old war began. Siege Ballas, Glass, Margalus puts your mind into... Yeah, okay, that's possible, Frank, yeah. Again, that's... I'm just trying to like put the kind of the pieces together, if you will, because that's what Warframe doesn't do. Is they give you like 60% of the line to the dot, but then you have to make up the other 40%. And in this regard, I really do think like we know for a fact that Margalus has some stake in the Lotus. Like she's in there somewhere in some way, shape, or form. So unless it was like a Cephalon intelligence thing, which would the same process would have been done, you know, because we know that from what happened with Ortis.
Our whole lives, we run toward it. Something, someone. Some wavering oasis of joy and contentment. Sad thing is, most happiness seems to come by accident. Maybe it's not about getting it, but letting it.
Smiling.
I am not.
His
that's...
memories are giving you something. As these emotions flow through you, you take from him his singular power over the world.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
I want out.
That's another aspect of the 1999 that could lead into Duviri.
It's lit up now.
I don't know. And there's something just about Teshin here that's just, there's something off. Like, the Drifter's been in this world forever. Why does Teshin know what to do? Raynuva, I think in ways you could make that argument, but at the same time, I think you could also make the argument that after anything interesting? No. After the new war, a lot of that was settled. Like it would seem like the system, at least at the moment, is, I want to say, not necessarily at the same level of war before. Wait a second. It's made comments about how the Lotus misguided. Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, well, that's another thing. There's the aspect of Teshin that seems to believe that the Lotus really doesn't have the Tenno's best interests at heart. Regardless, though, even if that were the case, right? The Teshin wouldn't have any real connection to the Drifter. They would have a connection to the operator. I feel like now that we can replay this quest, I can actually go through it a lot more in depth, look for little things, and maybe come out with. I've never actually done a video on this. I'd actually stopped doing YouTube videos for about a good almost 2 years, and that was right when this came out. Yeah, get something better. Let's see. Well, that's there's the question. There is the question. How many of the people that we're actually speaking to that have had some level of influence in the void are the people that we think they actually are? Like the Holdfast would be a great example of that. Like, I'm not saying that they're void clones, but they're pretty much void clones to begin with, right?
You hungry?
I mean, that was exactly what what the Drifter said to the Tenno on the New War when we came in. Clone Wars. Oh, nice. Okay, see, I didn't Archon. I didn't get the finger part yet, but I am. I know that she's finally coming around, so I'm thinking she's gonna figure it out here real soon. Yeah, screw that. I want the sushi for me. All right, we're back. The covetous courtier. Well, Antihero, remember what I was saying earlier about you were having a very, very, very specific experience that you might want to watch out for? That's kind of what I was referring to.
Now, do you believe it?
Let's go.
I am thinking of, and I've said this a bunch of times, like doing an actual lore series. But it's not going to have theories in it. which kind of scares me.
Anyway, I made you. I kept you safe all this time. There's nothing I can't be.
Ignore him. Play out the day.
Yeah.
See that his control has weakened.
I mean, okay, just hear me out here, though. Just contextualize, if you will, for a second. Think about the struggle so far that the Indifference and Entrati have had, that we know of up to this point, right? And, I mean, is it just... Am I the only one that sees all the parallels that the Drifter and Thrax seem to be experiencing? Odd me. Remember, misdirection's one of its best weapons. Seems to use it frequently, especially at the end of the Hex quest.
Cunning devices like this feed Duviri with power, just so those witless peasants can piss it away. It's wasted on them. Recalibrate it in my favor.
Thrax and the Drifter are in the same struggle that Entrati and his other are in. And it's the same kind of cat and mouse game they play with each other. Both thinking that their methods are correct and the way things should be. You even hear it whenever the Indifference is talking to Entrati in the Hex quest. Frank's text is short and to the point. I can read it, so it's all good.
Oh, Bombastine was admired, even loved. But others were loved more, and that was poison to him.
I have seen the movie The Cell.
Those sentries look down on me. There goes Bombastine, they say. Fire a shot over his head and watch him jump.
Again, I'm not saying that they are the same. It's just
you're taking them down to my level.
I'm just I say this all the time. I'm taking the 60% lines that I'm given, and I'm just bringing them out to their most logical point. And DE just absolutely adores reusing these themes within their storytelling. They love it. Like, perfect example is probably one of the things I think people like the most about what do you call it, the Whispers in the Walls quest, and especially my video on the Whispers in the Walls quest, was the parallel of
your head shall adorn that very tower.
He's getting angry. But whenever we
His acts of kindness and generosity,
touch the face,
one thought: how can this performance benefit me?
we touch the vessel's face, right? And at that moment, we heal the broken thing, which is exactly the thing that the Tenno do, you know?
Off you pop.
Oh, DE does a ton of pop cut for culture reference, especially in 1999. I want none of these. The Undercroft kind of represents the space between, as I understand it. It's not Duviri, It's kind of like it seems like in between these worlds, right? If you've ever been to the Untimed Door in Deimos, there is this, and also whenever you're perfect example. Did you ever notice how when you're flying in the railjack to a particular area, you are encased in void? Well, as I see it, you are actually encased in a kind of time space. It's like the space between spaces. It's how we get to things so quickly, utilizing void technology. But it also exists not just between places within the origin system, but between places here as well, which is most likely the way that Entradi was able to get to Duviri. Now, the way I see it is if that's the case, then that means that we can all get to Duviri. Well, my contention still remains on the whole when the Entradi person is saying love is the poison to your plan. I believe he is saying that love is the weapon that you're using as the thing within your plan, not the antidote to your plan. And I think you see this in the fact that it seems to grow stronger with more connections, which is exactly what we're doing. Yeah, absolutely we did. I mean, understand it was largely on the idea of Lloyd's emotional issues that he was having with like this unrequited love of, or whatever, however you want to look at it, love, loyalty. It doesn't matter. The point is that's what created, and we know this now because now with Lloyd actually having like a legitimate presence with the Indifference, that essentially means that he had contact with the Indifference, which is the thing that Entradi told him not to do. But it was because of his hatred of Entradi, which is shown multiple times during Whispers in the Wall, that the Indifference manifested within him. And it's true, we did soothe the Indifference in essentially Lloyd's anger through what we did there. But I think what it's also meant to show, and I think one of the things that we might just be looking at it incorrectly only because we keep associating the Void entity with what it was originally called, the Indifference. So everybody wants the Indifference to not feel. But just because we call it the Indifference doesn't mean that it doesn't feel, or that it doesn't have an interest in feelings. And I would say that it seems more like that it really likes emotions, but not necessarily that it is attempting to, let's say, like, utilize emotions for itself, but rather it likes the feeling of what it does to others. Kind of like a big bully. Haster, yeah, you're his demon, not mine, but clearly it was his demon too, because otherwise Lloyd wouldn't have shown up in the Hex quest as a part of the Indifference. And that's the problem. That's one of Lloyd's problems throughout the quest. He constantly is in denial of things. You see it over and over again with the page, with what happened with Entradi, with the reasoning behind it. Every 2 seconds, he has an issue with what's going on. It's, Entradi would need it, or Albert would need it a lesson in indifference, blah, blah, blah. Every bit of Lloyd's dialogue is literally just seething towards Entradi. And that's where the anger comes in, and that's where he was taken.
Has been scattered to the void.
I think it likes to consume emotions too. It loves them. It's the reason why I think it wants us to be in relationships. And it not only wants us to be in relationships, right?
We're supposed to break her, not make her his favorite. I was meant to be
I think it wants us to get in relationships and break up and then get into another one and break up again and get into another one. It wants that roller coaster of emotions, which is one of the reasons why when you break up, he laughs. Again, though, bear in mind, indifferent is just a name. It's a description of the void. But it doesn't mean that the thing can't have its own ambitions, especially now. So, Keith, that absolutely could be. Yeah, in Archon, exactly. It doesn't matter what emotions it's taking in. It's just that it wants the emotionality of it. So again, good, bad. If it produces that response that we've already seen multiple times that the void specifically does. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a...
It wasn't me that started stirring up this mess with the executions. You got it in your head to get out.
It's not a theory.
Now, these stories are for you, for us.
So, and there's something else that we'll get it kind of at the end here, but I'm just trying to read some of these here real quick. Yeah, Jan Lucas, that's it. Indifference is what we feel when we see him. That doesn't mean that that's what he is. In the kind of the same way that somebody that, if we go back to Bloodborne again, how the Great Ones would look at the common people. And actually, there's an aspect in the Bloodborne lore that says, even though they don't think about us, they are sympathetic to the plight of things. And I think that it's possible you could even make that, in some ways, an aspect of our own void, because it does seem to have kind of its own sympathetic ideals towards certain things, and it hates other things. See, Yoshi, I, if we're talking about Ballas again, I strongly disagree with that. He didn't pick power. He picked the opportunity to have revenge, is what he did. If we're talking about Ballas. Because that's what you have to understand. Like, if he would have said no to what the Orokin wanted, they would have killed him. And so what does that do? Now Margalus is dead. And Ballas is dead. And the story goes on. That's what Ballas would have received if he would have stood up for Margalus. Death. So Ballas had two choices. The first choice was death, and then the Aura can get away with it. Or the second choice was, unfortunately, putting my love to death, but then also burning every aspect of the Orokin Empire to the ground as revenge. I'm just saying that, like, it's just one of those things that I understand that because of our personal interaction with Margalus, that we want to hate Ballas more. But in reality, you know, without Ballas, nothing, the Warframe universe doesn't occur, period. Well, you know, I mean, you don't have to feel it. It's all perspective, and it's understand. Ballas is meant to be hated. That's how he's written. That is how he's written. He is an anti-hero, if you will, in that regard. You know, he's not a good guy, but he's also not necessarily the cause for the. If you want to know the true bad guys, it's the Orkin.
Nothing's worse than anger, right? It burns your lungs. It ashes the trees. But you can see it, right? And after it passes, maybe something new sprouts up. But resentment is desolation. It salts the soil so that nothing ever grows again.
Didn't see it coming, did you? That I was just using you. You think there's some magic land outside of here? All there is war and suffering.
Oh my God.
Understand?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Do you really? You keep calling this a prison, but you know what it really is. It's the only place in the entire universe that is actually safe.
Clearly.
You had it all. A whole
Grace, did you figure it out?
Yourself. But you were bored, ungrateful. You had to bite the hand that feeds.
This same thing happened in the Hex Quest.
Huh? Like what?
Once upon a time, there was a dying old man.
Okay, hold on here, because that's. Oh, wait a second.
As he lay on his bed, dying, he called to each of his beloved children.
All right, let me do this real quick, because this is crazy. Okay, hold on. Now. Oh, I guess I can use my. Can I use my Warframe? Why can I not shoot? Or I mean, not use my my sword? Okay. They're severely limiting me here. Okay. Sorry, I'm half thinking about what I want to say to you. Because it's so big. Fuck off. freaking road. Okay.
When each did hear his rasping call, they answered with a hollow longing.
Teshin! Teshin!
Piss off, you little bastard. Okay. Finally, I get to speak. Okay. Remember how everybody was asking about... I get this question all the time. I swear, I get it all the time. Why, at the end of the quest, was Entrati the Indifference Entrati of the Hex quest, right? Why was he trying to save the world? He's trying to keep that world intact, right? And in the same breath, the other here doesn't want the Drifter to leave either. They both want them to stay. One wants one to stay in 1999, and the other one wants the Drifter to stay in this place. Like almost like trying to say, don't leave. You can't leave. It's like a misdirection almost. Get off! Come on, let me go. It's like revelation time, and they just don't want to give it to me.
So they came to his bedside, one by one, and his firstborn knelt there. And the old man said, my child, why be your eyes so dry? And the firstborn said, so that I might be strong, father. And so the old man gave to them the deeds for all his lands.
Come on, you little bastards. We'll see you come up against this stupid trap that caught me pretty well. Quick. Super quick. Well, 1999 is often associated with the end of everything.
My child,
Just saying.
why be your eyes so dry? And his second child said, I shed no tears, father, for I chose now to remember only the joy you made of my life. And so unto him the old man gave his family home.
I mean, even this little story that's being told is just a complete misdirection at the end. Did you ever hear of a Faustian bargain where you make a deal with the devil, but you don't get completely what you wanted? I have a funny feeling that there's going to be a stipulation with I can save them all, because our parents already weren't included in that, so he kind of already broke an aspect of the deal.
Were my favorite of all. Why show you no feelings at all?
He's looking for a soul to steal. Well, I mean, I'm going to hit you with something else. I don't know if this is the case or not, but the spark is necessary for breaking the loop and getting out of 1999, right? That is what we're being told, at least. Does anybody else find it weird that Kaya's nickname is Spark?
And the last child said to him, I feel nothing, for it was I who has killed you.
He felt indifferent. Well, we know that the Lotus met the man on the wall. We just don't know what happened.
Where is he?
Don't you worry. Justice comes swiftly in my kingdom.
I mean, the only thing I would say about eternalism, because this is very important. Did you ever consider that if eternalism might only be allowed in certain instances? Like when the void wants it? Z-File, hello! I'm shocked. I feel like we have revelations something like this almost every week.
Banished by my decree.
Zerg, I'm just saying, to me, the fact that her name is Spark, and that's the only... I was just like, okay, that's almost too much there. Yes, the past and future do essentially exist at the same time. However, even though they both exist at the same time, remember that we can only experience time linearly. Even though it's bigger than that in reality, the human mind can only understand time in a linear fashion because we don't have access to multiple dimensions at once.
But why are you doing this?
Just if you're ever using the information that we give on stream, just always give it a once over in the wiki. Find exactly what's going on, and if you don't feel comfortable, I mean, it happens to me all the time. You know, I'll get an idea from doing something, and then I'll look into it a little bit deeper. Like that's what I'm saying. That's with this whole theory about like the other copy of the real version is always put into the void, like the same with like Entrati and with the Drifter and stuff. It's a neat theory, but it just needs a lot more work yet before I'm anywhere close to wanting to like put it out for everybody. Because if it can be debunked within the first 2 seconds, then what's the point? It's just a waste of time. Get off you.
You never cared this much.
Mayday, yeah, right? Hey, next expansion, we're going to send Drifter to defend Flatlanders. I was hoping my controller would give me some aim assist on that one. It didn't. That time it did. Thank you. 1 for 3. That's right. Well, I mean, if you consider, see, there's like way more. You can go so much deeper than this. Like, one of the things that I'm looking into now, and I've mentioned this a couple times already, but there's if you want to check it out, if you want to kind of get the background for it, in your own time, look up something called the Kozarev mirrors. Starts with a K. And within that context, there's the idea that time itself is a god. And if time was a god in Warframe, I feel like it would be the Indifference, especially with the way that it is and how it has access to everything like the way it does. So thinking about the world as varying states of void reality, like the universe, existence, with the void entity as an aspect of that classification of reality, allows the concept that everything that we see is void made, void created. The energy, if you will, the mass behind matter. I mean, I guess my question is to everybody on that thing, trapping it in time with the strand, with the finger, right? What part did we trap it? When we went back to 1999, it was already there. The first time that we go back in Whispers in the Walls,
Teshin?
it's already there. It's already there with us. If you go to the back of the subway, it's already there. So a lot of what Intrati has said has either there's context that we don't have yet to justify what he said, but when you really think about it, everything that we were supposed to do in the Hex Quest, we failed at. We didn't find Intrati. We didn't find Intrati first. Well, that Yoshi, that's been my thing too, is that not only does Fibonacci say digits, but Albrecht says digits too when he says studying the digits. I don't know. But he could just be saying that it's one finger and then studying all of them together after they were recreated, because, you know, there's like, we all have like fingers in our railjacks and stuff. Well, Haster, I mean, I think we can go even further and say that I think Hulvania is hell. I mean, I think there's a lot of evidence to say that. I mean, aside from the Indifference calling it hell a couple times, and the fact that we're reliving the same thing over and over and over and over again, and the people that are in there with us, some of them are acknowledging that we're in a living hell. The proto-frame specifically, they make mention of the fact that if we're just going to keep going through this year over and over again, then we are literally the living dead. I just always keep going back to one of the main things about these quests is the misdirection that DE just loves to just litter. There's all these tiny little things. Like, I'll give you a perfect example that like you can speculate on, but I highly doubt anybody could definitively say they know what it's for. Why at the end of the sacrifice quest does the man on the wall show up and say what he does? I mean, I have my theories on it, but there's all these little bits and pieces to the story that are just added in without any real tie to anything, if you will.
Teshin.
Oh, I think Intrati is a a villain too. Don't get me wrong.
Terra, for me,
I will.
you're feeling now.
I am.
Good.
Does it look like my drifter's bald? Like got a little bald spot going on there at the top? Well, Jonesman, yeah, and I again, when you see all these clones, potential clone situations, and wanting to come together again and be one, that particular phrase has an added meaning. I'm gonna get ya. There's like no depth perception here. You mind coming up in the playable zone here? What's that term in flight? We wanted underneath the something.
Stop this childish tantrum right now. Do you understand? He's dead and he's gone, and he's not coming back.
Really? Burn right through that thing.
I don't care how angry you get. You can't change anything. You can't even change yourself.
And all this time, I can't help but think that he's loving the emotionality of it all.
Jealous of my worms? You think stealing them will bring him back? Are you stupid? It's too late.
I didn't know you could roll the one through the other. That's awesome. Here, I spent the last time I was doing this quest, I was actually trying to shoot it with the fire. Like even the Thrax's voice always has that layering to it. I hate that because you never know. Okay, I might be off on this, but I think my Drifter child had a full beard. Oh, no, okay. For a second there, I thought that. Oh, Danny, definitely, without question. That part in the Hex quest is huge.
You can have it.
Hey, good call on that, right? Oh, that there could be something to that.
Thinking, is this real? Or some fevered dream? You did it. You took control.
I always had it. Thrax didn't make
You know,
this place.
You did. But you reset it. You gave it all back to him. Why?
I guess it felt like a good trade.
Z-Foul. I think you know why. His other hand is too.
Those beyond the wall have helped you. You will need to repay that debt. But you've earned your freedom. A way through the paradox and out of the spiral. Be warned. You'll not be as you
Themo, you may have missed an interesting theory or two. Yeah, I would say so today.
Do you see it? The other side.
I wish we could see the what Thrax looks like under the mask.
I see it.
What will you do?
Wow. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to Duviri, but I think a really good argument could be made that we could go
Sometimes you
back to
get
Duviri.
stuck. Sometimes you go numb.
Sometimes you go indifferent.
The color drains away. You stop trying. And that just feeds the spiral going down. Maybe you'll get lucky one day. You see yourself in the mirror and snap out of it. But for some of us, it takes more.
Sir, I noticed that
Friend.
too. That's not what it.
A stranger.
That's not what it
A
showed the
story.
last time, right?
A helping hand.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, because Stream's actually talking about it, was the idea of essentially of the indifference attempting to guide us. And I think there is some actual legitimacy to that, because those are the tablets, the Zeraman tablets that we see. They're all basically instructions, if you will. All right, let's go back to that. A lot of people are probably lying to us. What? What? Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why. So the last image is dependent upon what you choose. Yeah, because I did Terra. Oh shit. So what does the sun soul look like? Oh, now I'm gonna redo the quest again at some point.
And whose business are you about today, Drifter?
Is this the place I'm supposed to be at here? Oh.
Ooh, vapor trails.
What the hell? What is this? Now go with the drifter. What? Why is it 3? Uh, that little dung ding ding ding. I've never heard that before. Right here. No, not just that's. You don't hear that music? What is that? Is that normal? Okay, so I'm not crazy. This is not something that any. But why does it do that?
Into her boiling bliss.
I just don't understand. But why though? And why is it only when the drifter what? Yeah, I never noticed that. Never once. Okay, so I'm supposed to.
You're nothing but cobwebs and starlight.
Is that like phaser sound? Oh, maybe it is the door warning not to stand there. No, it can't be that foul because then when I was in my Warframe, it would do it too. No, I don't want to go in there. Ah, that's okay. That makes sense. I mean, I will be 100% honest and tell you, I never once noticed that. Never once. So if that's been in here all this time, that's just such, it's just so weird.
Let's see what happens next.
Yeah, maybe that is the little, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. That is so weird. Excuse me. That is so weird.
You're like an infection yourself, sugar. Hard to shake. Ready to make an entrance?
Why do the beeps only come when you go one way? All right. I mean, I'm at a loss. I have no clue what the hell's going on here. Why?
You about today, Drifter.
This sounds like a horror thing or something like that. I don't know. It's just weird, dude.
God, that feels weird.
My mind is being broken. It's just so strange. Like I don't know. It's just one of those things that like why? Like why? Is there a Dormazone Captura? I would think if there is, I have it. Talking Bay. Yeah. No, nope, I don't. Can't believe that. Well, I mean, I can tell you what it's appearing like is going to happen, but let's see. Do. Hopefully, I have some standing.
Rydal and Mola, Kazarai, Suda, Tylan, Halico, and Vren.
Oh, well, we're not getting it today. I'll have to go back to it at another point. Looks like I found something I'm going to have to grind this week at the Zerman. That's great. Yeah, I definitely hear a heartbeat, and I hear, like I said, on one side of the door. It's just like I said, it's just weird that it only does it on one side. I never noticed that either. But now that Duviri is replayable, we may have to go deep into this one again because, like I said, I never really did a video for that particular quest. It feels like maybe it's time with enough, time that we have that we can get a better idea of what all's going on. You better get your Donda. That's a good idea. It's definitely weird, though. Like I said, for someone that never saw it before, that was an odd one. And thankfully, it happened on stream because, you know me, I might be like, hey, what's this mean? Blah 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 blah. I tend to get a bit overzealous with things at times. I'm very self-aware, but that's half the fun of it, you know.
Who's up for a scavenger hunt? It's for extra credit.
I feel like class has been out for centuries, my dear, so I don't really know if we need that anymore. This is still one of the creepiest tile sets in all of Warframe. And rightfully so, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I like to think that this was a pretty good one here today. There's a bunch of good theories that came out of it, stuff that we can go off of, especially, you know, moving forward. I can't wait to see what we're getting into next. I can't even wait to see what we're getting into like next. Not necessarily a TennoCon, but like, you know, whatever the next update is going to be, essentially. Like, very, very interested in seeing all that. You want me to watch your clips? I'll watch you watch my clips. But I don't know if NC or N7 Bunny. I don't know that they're going to abandon it. I think that they're just moving away from it for the time being and moving to a different aspect of the story. I don't think it's going to be gone forever. And in fact, I think during the dev stream itself, Steve and Megan, in her notes, I guess, or something, said something to the effect of that the proto frames aren't over with. So there's a real good chance we're going to come back. Plus, it doesn't seem like we've really, what I would say, resolved all of 1999. But I do think you could make an argument that we've resolved it as much as we can, at least for right now. That there may be more things that the Drifter and the Operator and our little crew have to go through or find yet in order to properly resolve 1999. Because at the moment, all we're really doing is just starting it over and over and over and over again. And as I've said before, even if, now I obviously I don't know this for certain, but even if like Kaya ends up figuring out a way out of Hulvania, right? Can she take everybody? And what does that mean? Does that mean that she's taking all of the proto frames, or is she taking all the people? Can you get all the people from Hulvania out? Like, in ways, given how the stadium appears during the Coda quests, I think you could make the argument that might be the last piece of Hulvania that's left after an explosion of all of the planet, maybe? I don't even know. And that's the reason why it's the last piece that's sitting there? Again, just an argument. I'm not saying that's the case, but it is weird that in this new version of like the stadium, it's just above Earth, first of all. And there's planetary debris everywhere. Well, it's true. Proto frames don't have to be only tied to 1999, but I feel like they're probably going to have, like I said, I really don't think that we're completely done with 1999. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Time will tell. But I wouldn't say that just because we're going to be going to a different thing, and maybe for a while, I mean, we may not come back to 1999 for a while. I'd say that's absolutely possible. Especially if there is some kind of resolution with getting the proto frames, I guess, in a situation that they're happier with than they are right now, you know? Yeah, the stadium is essentially high up in the skybox of Earth. Yeah, Zerg, that's exactly what I would say. There's just so much other things that to resolve there yet that I don't think that we're going to be done with it forever. And I think DE knows that. My personal thing was, now I've said this before, but this is just me. I think DE knows. Okay, peep this. I think DE knows they got a good thing going on here. Okay, I think they realize that they have the band and they can get the music because they know that people are enjoying the added music that's come along with 1999. So they know they got that. So there's that aspect of additional revenue that could come into play. Now, again, I'm looking at this from the business side, the salesman, if you will, that I was for many, many years. Plus, they have more proto frames and some open-ended aspects of the story. So I think what they're doing is, in their mind, this is a perfect time. If they wanted to try something different, right, and stray away, like say, for whatever reason, like they want to try something new. Somebody's got a wild itch they want to scratch. That's Warframe. That's what Warframe's been. It's been just like them basically throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So right now, with the game being in a really good state, this is the time when you toss shit at the wall and see if it sticks. And then if it sucks, you got the proto frames in 1999 sitting in your back pocket that you can just go right back to if you need to get additional revenue and stuff. Because, I mean, I feel like, look at me. I never buy stuff I never get stuff from the market. I have all the proto frames. So that should give you an idea of again, it's just like one of those business moves. Hey, we can keep going with this and we can run it till it's dry. And then people will fall off and then we won't be able to come back to 1999 at all because people will already be sick of it. Or we can halt it right here. We can move to something else. And at some point down the road, we'll come back and it'll be in very, like when they go to their, like the quarterly meetings and stuff like that, especially when they're trying to predict what quarterly sales are going to be for each thing when they're in front of whoever they have to be in front of. If they need it, they can put that within their document for upcoming stuff, and they can look at that and say within their SWOT analysis and things that this is going to be a strength. We already know where we're coming from. We know that this works. We know that the community likes it. We know that the community wants more of it. So I just feel like if you're looking at it if you can move away from the game aspect of it and look at it from a business perspective, it makes all the sense in the world. Like I just said, why stay in 1999 and run the gambit dry and make it so nobody wants to come back here? You're much better off while everybody's still feeling it, but at the same time, we've been doing it now for half a year. Might as well just leave, do something else, and then if you want to come back to it later, you have it just sitting there waiting for you. And again, you know for a fact that if in a year from now or in 2 years from now, they reintroduce the concept of 1999, especially with 4 or 8 new proto frames, that everybody's going to be so hyped, they're not going to be able to stand themselves with all the fun things and reverting back to the KIM, which that's another thing too. Think about how much work they had to put into the dialogue of the KIM for both the original proto frames and for the new proto frames. They probably need some time to write new shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Again, they can do all this stuff and it's sitting there waiting for them if something fails. So why not? Why not take a chance now? It's the best time. And that's what they've always done, too. Exactly. I mean, I feel like they know exactly what they're doing. And I feel like the only reason why they had to tell everybody the way that they did was because they know how much people are enjoying this update. Like it is 6 months. No, sorry, it's 4 months. 4 months. Sorry, it's 4 months after the original update, if you will. And over the last 2 weeks, I have actually played more Warframe than I have in a 2 week period at least. Well, I mean, the last time I played that hard was right after 1999 release because I wanted everything. But you get my point. I'm picking up Warframe now, even when like I have kind of like a rule with myself that I try to not play Warframe on my free time because I want the game to still be fun. I don't want to get completely burnt out. So I play other games during my free time, and I use this as like kind of my work thing. But recently, when I've been given free time, if I've been given free time, I find myself hopping onto Warframe and just playing a couple missions and then maybe getting off if I only have half an hour or something like that. But I don't normally do that. So that's saying right there, like where the game's at least in my mind. And it makes me understand that even if we are moving away, I bet you any money what we do next is going to be cool anyhow. So bring it on, you know. Zerg, I feel the same way. I've never had as much faith in a game company as I do right now. They're firing on all cylinders. They seem to have a plan moving forward. It seems like they have a community that's lockstep in with them. You know what I'm saying? Like how many videos are you seeing right now on Warframe being a bad game or having problems or anything else like that, other than some bugs and whatnot? There's like very little negative Warframe content, if any at all. And it's only, if there is any, it's more so just little things, little bug fixes need to be done, blah, 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 blah. Well, and that's another thing, Ray. It does allow you to, if you're really into the lore and if you've enjoyed what you read in the KIM, you owe it to yourself to go back and play through all the quests again because you will pick up all kinds of things that you never noticed the first time for a couple reasons. And I put this in the video about the second character thing, but like the first time you were going through the quest, you didn't know what the hell was going on, even with anything. Now you do. Secondly, the first time you were going through the quest, you were worried about not dying because you had a shitty loadout or you had weapons that were probably just making it at that point, especially in the earlier quests. But now you can go through with like your best gear. And I mean, heck, in a lot of ways, you can even take your companions and just have them do the mission for you. You know, throw the stalker out there, get your Kavad out there, maybe throw a healer, and just walk through. What do you mean by that, Revenant? Well, that's true too, Zerg. Like, I mean, they usually go back to them. Again, I just think this is the time where if they have some wild hair they want to do, and I think anything's on the table. We just got a dating sim, so like literally anything's on the table. If they said in the new update that we're going to like have like a Sim City type situation where we're going to be like creating our own city in the next thing is like a roller and some shit. I don't even know. It wouldn't be. I'd be like, oh, okay, that sounds like something. Warframe, okay. Okay, Revenant. Well, when I get there, I'll get there then. I see now what you're saying. Zerman farming simulator hype. Oh, and Seven Bunny, don't get me wrong. Like, if they would said, I was actually under the impression, personally, when I finished the Hex Quest, and especially the finale, I was thinking, okay, it's almost like it would be right if I thought that the year was going to take the whole year. I thought we were going to be in 1999 for this entire calendar year, essentially. And then at the very end, like, it would like resolve itself in a way, not resolve itself like right away or within 2 months or something. Like, I thought we were going to be going through a whole calendar year of 1999 content. So did it bum me out a little bit that we're leaving? Well, yeah, because, being a lore guy, especially with the KIM and getting all this additional information, it's like a buffet. Karkari, I think there is an aspect to that. I do believe that Rel's autism allowed him a perspective of the indifference that few can have, and thus a level of resistance against what it was presenting. Well, Revenant, I only talk about this stuff. I don't make the content, I wouldn't mind seeing raids, but again, I'd like to see how they're going to do them. One of the things that Warframe has really gotten away from, and probably for the sake of the game overall, not necessarily for individual players' enjoyment, but for the sake of the game overall, Warframe tries to stay away from too many game modes that have a ton of communication involved in it. I think that's pretty obvious at this point because there's a lot of people that play solo. So they want those people to have the ability to go do what they got to do. Now, there are certain things in the game that, you have to have a level of communication, but even then, like, you could go into, like, to do an Eidolon or something like that. You could probably just fumble your way through it. That is Harrow's Idol on my Umbra. Yes, it's my new favorite emote. All my frames have it. One of the reasons why is because it shows all of the fashion. When he puts his hands behind his back like that, you get to see everything real nice, and you see if the symmetry's right and everything. So it's a really good emote for that sort of thing. I want Duviri 2.0. I'll take Duviri 2.0. Hell yeah. And I guess I think that really is what comes down to. I'll take Duviri 2.0. I'll take Tau. I will take more against Parvos Granum and Protea and the sisters. I'll take that. I will. I mean, if we want to get just straight into more indifference, like going back to even the sanctum, to the door that's underneath the sanctum, where I'm talking about on both sides, I'd take that because I think there's a whole ton more to explore there. I'd take. Let's see, what else would I take? I mean, I'd like to see even if we get back into the Archons and Bazul and stuff. Like, I would take some of that, I'll have to check that out. But we might be going to Tau. Again, this is the beauty of it. Everything that everybody's saying in here, like, you say a thing, and I'm like, yes, okay, I take that. Oh, yes, I'll take that. That one? Yes, I take that. So, because I know where they're going to get back to it. Right? We'll get back to it. We are on a trip in our favorite Orcan ship. mean, who knows? Maybe we actually use the untimed door. We could go, yeah, the whole thing could be like situated back again on Deimos. And then maybe we go into the void itself. That's an area we haven't even thought about. The actual void, the place that we go into, the space between spaces, if you will. Why not that? Oh, I agree with that, anti-hero. Well, I don't think I think we're in the same kind of boat with the Destiny 2's in. You're not going to get a Destiny 3 unless Destiny 2 is like dead and gone. It's just going to cause them too much work. So in the same breath with Warframe here, especially with the way that Warframe's able to minimize the amount of space on your hard drive somehow with all the shit that they have. I don't know how they do that. Pella, yes, I will be doing Soulframe's lore as well. Whenever it actually releases as a full game and everybody can get their hands on it, yes. I would absolutely say they have somebody with some kind of understanding of psychology. DE does, without a question, or at least they're consulting somebody. Halvania could be. I've said before in a couple of my videos that I think Halvania and Lazarum and Duviri are, let's say, made of the same stuff. Well, Haster, that's what we think, but we don't know what the operator can do. You know, we were just talking about maybe an operator-only quest now that we got a drifter-only quest? Well, maybe the operator can actually navigate through the void, given what it is. That'd be neat to get a crossover event with. I'd like to see Soulframe be a distant, like a very distant relative to Warframe. You know, like we're just throwing out the stuff now. Riftguard as well. But I think the important thing is we're in a very good spot in Warframe, and that should be something that we're all very, very happy about. You know? I just I had one and I was sitting down. This would be better. Ah, there we go. Well, that's a good point, Rays. Yeah, if Warframe can do it, why can't we do it, right? So, anti-hero, I think the reason why the Helminth can connect through time comes from what we were told by Kaya here in her studies. Apparently, in order to make it through time, you need a combination of Technocyte and Void. And I think Helminth may have been, at least some aspects of Helminth, may have been subjected to the void. What if the sentience never made it to Tau? I don't know. Again, it would be a misdirection because we were told that the reason why they fought the Orkin was to protect it, but I still want to see what it is. How did Helminth obtain that power? Well, I mean, aside from the fact that Lloyd needed to use it in order to send us to 1999, right? There's the void Technocyte combination there. I think what everybody needs to come into terms with is that there is imagery all over 1999 that pretty much guarantees that at least one aspect of the tech rot has been corrupted by the indifference. I'm not saying all of it has. I'm just saying one of them has. And maybe more. So what essentially could what as I'm seeing it is the void is the tether that brings everything together. So why the infested in other timelines or even other places, mind you, because if it's all connected, there's a very good if the tether is the void, and we already know that the void is being kind of pumped out through everything. If the tether is the void, then there can be a connection essentially everywhere. Lizzie could be separate. I mean, we've seen all the infested aren't connected together. There are multiple hive minds. We've seen this in the past. It's not just one hive mind that controls them all. So the idea that a certain hive mind, given the fact that they are sentient in every way, I mean, they understand things. Lizzie understands things. So if the void were to come to them, if the void entity, especially in the form of Entrati, were to come to them and explain what it is and what it can do and everything else, what would be any different from it taking a deal than a human taking a deal? Yeah, absolutely. One hive mind to bind them all. Well, I mean, there's that whole other thing that if the infestation has any actual connection in its original construction to void technology, then that allows it to be just as susceptible as the operator. Well, again, that's all predicated upon if that is Entrati. That's all. Revenant, because they're not called Jade Xmas in 1999. They're called something else. I can't remember what it is, but they have a different name. So even though they're using the Jade power, you could make the case that they are something else, and that is a Fervon instead. Because interestingly enough, and we may come to find that the Jade power may be derived directly from a Fervon, because the Fervon is supposed to be essentially like a counter against Warframes. Ken, I'm not really sure. I don't know. One of the things that we never really see, we haven't seen yet, is one infested hive mind communicating with the second one. Like, we have yet to see two that touch, and if one takes over, if they assimilate each other's thought processes together to form a new, like, amalgamated hive mind, or if one, do you know what I'm saying? Or if they just, like, they can't come together at all. I feel like if the man in the wall wanted Vor to time travel, then he could. Well, hey, we'll find out, because it seems like their Dark Sector has some connection in there, but it's tough to know how deep it is and if it's a fictional connection within game or a realistic one. But that again could be something that we learn later in another thing. I mean, heck, if the game was really down and they wanted to go back to 1999, what they could easily do is just introduce Hayden Tenno, and that would bring everybody back to Warframe. It wouldn't matter who it was, you know. Burnt laughter. That actually absolutely might be the case. They that seems to be at least the way that we get into the 1999. So, I mean, it has a similar kind of ability to kind of move, if you will. Some kind of Unreal Tournament 99. Yeah, then we have the ancestor of Alad V. That's another story that we could always get back to as well. Because really, they left the Dakota story wide open. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get more dialogue about the online boys, but right now they're just like being held. Diego, I'm not sure that it has the ability to do that. I think, now I could be off on this, but I do think that Ballas has some aspect of its design that is needed in order to create a Warframe. And I think there's little bits of evidence, visual evidence, that might say that in the fact that notice how the tech rot in 1999 and everywhere else we've ever seen it doesn't actually form shapes. It just becomes large masses of stuff. Like it never actually makes itself into anything. It just if it does actually form a shape, it's only for its own movement purposes, like so that it has two legs or two arms, but they don't really look like arms. You know, they get all kinds of weird growths and everything else. So it never really congeals itself into a like a true form, if you will. So perhaps the Helminth thing that Ballas made actually like instructs the technocyte into forming itself into particular ways. Haster, you got to remember though, time being what it is. So, again, I think the good thing and what we should all be kind of celebrating, if you will, is that we're eating really well. Well, I say, Ken, here's the one thing that I'm not 100% certain on that is because each one of the proto frames they come from batches. And you see this in the beginning of the Hex Quest. It's not that Excaliburs come from the Arthur batch. It's Arthur is from the Excalibur batch. Same thing with Nick's batch and Trinity batch, meaning that these things existed before. And it goes in line with what Entrati said, that he brought the Helminth back from his own time to give to the what do you call them? The sick. How did he say it? Hey, Gemma. But sorry, I'm just reading here a little bit. Ooh. Actually, all with that in mind, it's just about, we're getting close to roughly about 4 o'clock, so I'm probably going to end up cutting the stream off here, starting to get things ready at the house here. But I do very much appreciate you all being here with me again on this Sunday. And like always, we will do it again next weekend. Keep an eye out. There's a really good chance that I will have the video that I'm working on completed for this week. I think, especially with the, let's say, shutting down at the moment of Halvania, you'll find it even more interesting. But like I said, thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week, if I don't speak to you. And I will talk at you all in the next one. Take care, everybody, and try to make it here next week, especially if you want to play. I'd like to get more people involved in the stream itself, if you will. But with that being said, see y'all later. Bye.